We all know rents are rising, but home prices are rising too. So how do you know whether you're better off buying a home or renting it, or vice versa? Here with what you need to know is lifestyle lawyer Shari O. Shari, the bottom fell out of home prices when the bubble burst, but that was a couple of years ago. Are home prices still a good value?
Prices have certainly gone up, but when we're looking about renting or owning, there are other variables that sort of go into that comparison. So the reason in most markets in the U.S. it's still better to own a home today than rent is because interest rates have been so low, so your mortgage payment compared to your rent is lower, and also because rents have gone up so high. So relatively speaking, Holly, it's still better to own in most markets.
So how do you know what makes more sense to you, what you should do?
Sure. Well, there's a really good place to start. It's called the rent-to-own ratio. It's a general rule of thumb. If you take the average price of a home that you would be buying in your area and you divide it by a year's worth of rent that you'd be paying in your area, and that number comes out to be 15 or less, then that means that it's better to own in your area. So that would take you sort of to the next part of the equation and digging down a little bit deeper into some of the variables.
Kind of have a little equation there. That's actually very, very helpful. What other variables? You mentioned that earlier. What else should someone consider?
Sure. Well, the biggie with actual costs include things like taxes or insurance or assessments, homeowners association or condo association assessments. If you live in an area where those types of costs are very high, then your particular area may not make sense to buy because that sort of throws the equation off. The other biggie is how much down payment and what your credit score is, because those things are going to influence what your mortgage payment is. If you put 20% down, for example, your mortgage payment on average in this country is going to be about 30% less than what your rent would be, but a lot of people don't have a 20% down payment. And then the last thing is how long you're really planning on staying, because if you're going to be staying less than 3 years, you may not recover some of those costs, so it may not make sense to do.
Gotcha. A lot to consider.
Sure.
All right, Shari O, thank you. Mike, back to you.
Thank you, Holly. To your health alert.